Welcome back to another episode of Peach Talk. I am your host, Peaches, and today I have with me the beautiful Miss AP Walker. How are you today?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing awesome. Busy, of course, but how are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I know it's a busy life being, a mom and an entrepreneur and working and all that. So I won't keep up too much of your time. I just wanted to, give the folks an opportunity to get to know you and to also get to know the products that you offer and services you offer. So without further ado, would you mind introducing yourself, letting the people know who you are?
Ah, yeah. So, hello, everybody. I am Anginique Walker. I am founder of AP Walker Consulting, which is a small consulting firm, boutique consulting firm for creative entrepreneurs. So, what I do is help with strategic planning, coaching when it comes to your business and how to implement your strategy, how to stick to your plan. I'm an accountability partner as well. And I just provide that assistance that small creative businesses, entrepreneurs need. A lot of times it's just support, somebody to bounce ideas off of. So I'm that person to do so and help you grow and monetize and maximize your business. And I'm also co-founder of Shop Create Collaborate, and we are a creative co-working community within the Metro Atlanta area, specifically Cobb County. And what we do in addition is to help creative entrepreneurs connect with one another through workshops, networking events, to additionally help them grow their businesses and just connect, because a lot of times this entrepreneurship journey is very lonely and can be siloed, and a lot of times you just need somebody to talk to and share kind of your issues or celebrate with you as well. So that's what we strive to do with SCC. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for agreeing to allow me to interview you. I always tell people all the time that, we don't have enough platforms boosting our content, boosting our businesses. And so, a lot of times, we don't even know that resources are available because
Right.
we don't have the information. So, I
Right.
wanted to make sure that, I have awesome entrepreneurs come on and be able to at least provide resources or services, as it seems you have a awesome service that will allow other up and coming entrepreneurs to have that support that they need to move forward with their businesses. So how long have you been doing this whole entrepreneurship journey?
Oh Lord, I probably came out the womb. No. It's been a while. I've had a business prior to that ended up having to close. So that was probably back in I'm gonna say 2007.
Mm.
So 16 years of entrepreneurship journeys and failures and just failing forward and success and learnings. So I've been doing this for quite a while, learned a lot. Unfortunately, didn't have a lot of other entrepreneurs to lean on. I did have mentors and stuff, but um, I feel like it really started to boost with these creative entrepreneur journey. Really started like in the past maybe 10 years.
Mm.
People really started getting on this, how to share resources, and when it comes to entrepreneurship, where you can find it, support, financial support, smaller businesses seeing, especially even when COVID hit, like small businesses boomed over that time. So the resources I think they were there. I know they were there. They just
Right,
weren't as accessible
right,
back in the early 2000s. And the knowledge to know where to go,
right.
period.
Yeah, I know it's always difficult when you don't have the support system. Like, even take me for example, like I never understood the whole podcasting thing. I never understood how to stand up an LLC. I just kind of was on this research and trial and error type of thing.
You're
And
right.
um, so I mean, luckily it worked out, but not everyone is always successful with trying to find those resources and being able to build their businesses. So I commend you for taking on um, that type of responsibility and being able to help others to grow.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so, what made you decide that entrepreneurship was the right choice for you?
because I wanted to do a whole bunch of different things at once. I feel like I can never sit still. I can't. I'm just not okay with just one thing to do. I'm always trying to expand and grow and just be involved in things. I'm just a
Mhm.
busybody. I think was part of my issue. Um, but then just wanting to have an outlet from the 9 to 5. It's the side hustles where everything starts a lot of times when it comes to entrepreneurship is that side hustle. And a lot of it's brewed out of a necessity. Some people
Mhm.
have a need that that they want to fulfill for themselves, financial needs. Or it could be just a personal growth need. Our first business was event management company that we did in the early 2000s that we were working on because it was something that it was came from college. It was things that we were doing and we enjoyed doing. We wanted to make a business out of that. So that's where that started. It was just kind of that joy. But I know at this point it's not going to, pay my bills, but
Right.
to feed me in another way. And so that's where that started. And as far as like my consulting for AP Walker really was birthed out of my natural instinct to just help others and have discussions and strategic planning with friends. And they were like, why don't you do this as a business? Because when they were talking about standing up their businesses, the ideas that would flow from me, the conversations, the discussions, the plans that we would put together really made me kind of think like I could do this for other people. So why not? And then the creative aspect of it is I'm a creator myself, so I do quilts and small like sewing handmade items and products. And so it's selling on the side, but I figured not a lot of people who have that creative brain. Sometimes with the business side, it gets really overwhelming. And then a lot of times they just kind of quit. And so, if you have a great product and you're very creative, sometimes trying to get that other side to work and flow, you might just need somebody to talk to you who's been on that level, who knows how to speak to you in the way that you can understands the struggles. Because I think with being a creative entrepreneur, a lot of times when we're artists or authors, chefs, things like that, you're thinking more so about your craft. And so it's hard to even determine what it is that you need to do from a business standpoint, from a strategic planning standpoint, to grow your growth mindset on that end of it. So I help with that. And then SEC really was built. My business partner, she's a creative entrepreneur herself as well, a DIY home decor influencer, lifestyle influencer. And she was like, I want a place to go where I can be around other creatives like myself. I can work out of this location, or um, I can just be able to be fed by the environment of other people. And so that's where the birth of Shop, Create, Collaborate came from. It was really about this idea of being able to collaborate with other like-minded people.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So we do have a question, although the information we will also put in the description of this video when it's uploaded. But if you want, you can go ahead and share where they can find you as far as your social media and that is there.
Yes, so my social handles are at AP Walker Consulting. You can look on my website, apwalkerconsulting.com, for additional information about the services, and you can inquire there as well. And then Shop, Create, Collaborate, shop.create.collaborate. That's Instagram. And then Shop, Create, Collaborate, all one word.com as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Um, so, as far as your journey, you have help along the way, or did you do kind of what I did and have like a trial and error type of situation going?
Whoo, yeah. Well, for those to the current businesses, I think it was a lot of trial and error up front, especially in the early 2000s, trying to figure out what looks good or what is the model that we want to do. And so what happened, I think there's a turning point. When we had our event planning company, we had the opportunity to work with a major management company here, and they told us to come in. We had a brief conversation prior to, and they're like, come in, for a meeting. I like you guys. Tell me what you would do for this type of event, right? So basically bring together a presentation and come in. Well, we brought in a presentation. It really wasn't up to par. It was trash. Whatever what we were bringing in was trash. We should have known better. But what happened was during that presentation meeting, we were read from the rooter to the tutor, because the person really brought to the forefront our lack of education and knowledge and the things that we,
Mm,
and it wasn't that, and she was coming from the aspect of, you shouldn't expect other people to tell you. There's a lot of this stuff that you could have given to me. It was research that you could have done on your own. And
mm,
so that was a lot, I think, being kind of young, 20s and 20 something years old. And it's just like, okay, well, my shit don't stink. Well, come to think, it shit stank. It was stinking. It was bad. We were ready. We had to pick up our jaws from the floor, gather ourselves up, because they were like, I was going to give you this major opportunity. And guess what? You're not getting that because
mm,
of what you presented. And from that day forward, we knew that any product that I'm going to turn out or anything that I'm involved in, I'm going to make sure that I do that to my best of ability, or get as much research, get as much information, in order to present a product that I am going to be proud of, and we know that not everybody's going to buy what you're selling, but
right,
if you're proud of what you're putting out, you did the work to do that, then you're never really going to fail, even if somebody says no, right? So the journey itself, it was a long took a while, I think, especially when we were trying to determine, SEC, kind of what that looks like, what the model is going to be. We actually we were part of an accelerator. I want to say it was like a 12-week, 6 to 10 evening class, where we, learned a lot of the basics. We knew, setting up an LLC and all of that stuff, but there was things, financials that we needed to learn about. There were some legal things that we needed to learn about. And so we took that effort and the investment. Well, luckily it was a free program, but there are other classes that we've taken, to do that. But we had to put some of that time in to learn and really identify who our audience was and how we're going to reach out to them and all of that. And a lot of that also came from our 9 to 5 jobs, right? So
mm,
the experience and the learning from the job, I think it's very important that entrepreneurs work for somebody else prior to them, even if you have, you know, uh, a company while you're working for somebody else. There's a lot of learning that can happen within that, with
right,
you working for somebody else, because you can see how you don't want to, be what type of manager you do and don't want to be, especially when
right,
you're young, these people in their 20s. And I think a lot of times they're pushing entrepreneurship down a lot of people's throats, but they're not really prepared for it. How do you properly respond to an email, or even what's a proper turnaround time when it comes to clientele? It doesn't have to say, it's ever changing, business is changing and how it looks, but there's still some basic things that happen and that you learn within a 9 to 5 job, or just any kind of job, that will translate into your business and help it be more essential and effective, if that makes sense. So
very true, very true. Yeah, I can say without a shadow of a doubt, like, my experience even working where I work now, um, transitioned in how I communicate with others. So, like, I was a strict introvert where I just did not like lots of people whatsoever.
yeah.
But over time, working, having to be forced into that type of customer service role kind of just like pushed the envelope for me to be more effective in my communication, both written and verbally. So I definitely agree with you on that. So how has your entrepreneurship journey affected you and your family in positive ways?
Shoot, a happy wife means a happy life now. I think my husband really knew, I think starting off, it's open communication, was always key. Like I always try to make sure that he understands what I'm working towards. And this is why I may have to go to these events, 3 nights out of the week this week, but I'll be okay this week. And kind of finding that balance, but having that support at home helps that. But what it also helps, I think it helps with my peace of mind, because this is something that I enjoy. It doesn't lock me into one particular job or industry, so that I can be more versatile and diverse. It also another stream of income. You need at least
Right.
like 6 streams of income anyway. So
Right.
positively, that does help. I'm not saying I'm over here, throwing out cash, but whatever the little bit it does help. It's expanded. It's also expanded my reach to other opportunities that could help that have helped with family or introduced my husband to different people. So I would say for sure it's a positive impact in multifaceted ways.
That's awesome. So what has been some of the challenges you faced with your business getting off of the ground?
Finances.
Yeah.
Financial investment is all I feel like has all with all the businesses that I've done. It's continued to be the hardest struggle because
Mm.
you're investing your money. I've taken money out of a 401k in order to stand up a business just to do like simple things. But if your job is to your 9 to 5 is helping is just the bills, what is there any extra that you can put in the business, and finding that to do that is sometimes hard, to start, because LLC, everything costs, LLC,
Right.
a website, a web domain, getting your logo together, any kind of marketing
Mhm.
that you may want to invest. It may not be a lot, but it is still a financial impact
And it
on you
adds
and
up.
your family. It adds up and it keeps adding up. It's just like the shoot, SiteGround just hit me up for $300. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's like annual things that happen. I mean, if you need to, invest in a CPA, you need a lawyer, all of that adds up. And a lot of times, depending on your business model, grants aren't always available. We say that there's a lot of grants out here, especially for Black African American, Black women, and all this stuff. That's not true unless you are in a specific industry.
Mhm.
A lot of these grants are written specifically for like a very small, less than 1% of the people who are out there providing, especially if you're providing a service. Forget about
Right.
it. If it's a product, you can get a little bit better, but if you're providing a service, it's hard. And then, okay, then you go to the bank. So now you're incurring more debt, right? So you
Right.
loan, now you're incurring debt. And if you don't have in a startup, you're not going to have any kind of financials to add, the bank can use as leverage for the loan. So they're going to use what your personal your personal
Right. Your
credit
personal
in
estate.
order to
Right.
do that. So I think for me personally, and I know a lot of people that I talk to, it's the financial um, has been the hardest part of standing. But it doesn't stop us, of course, right? So we find ways and do things in order to make sure that our business can be successful and that we can pay for these things so that we can start making money.
Well, what are some of those ways that you've overcome that challenge? Like, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, so if like I said, one of them was taking some money out of the 401k. I did take a hit, but what I did was I talked to, I actually looked online to see, what's the average percentage that tax wise at the end of the year. If I take out this amount of money, how much tax wise will I be hit the following year? Okay, so if I took out, I'm just going to say like $10,000, right? And that's not how much I took out. I'm just saying I took out 10, and a certain percentage of that I put aside because I know taxes of the following year is ready for that. So the remaining balance I used in order to do, to build up all of the startup requirement costs. So that was utilized for that. Family and friends is going to be another thing. I know a lot of times we're scared to ask our family and friends, but if you do a presentation like you would do an angel investor, to your family and friends, and have a specific dollar amount and what actually you're going to do with those dollars, and not be, I'm going to do marketing. Well, what type of marketing are you going to do? Think about that. So if you want to if you say you want to present to an angel investor, start with your family and friends, because they're going to be the ones that helps give you a lot of that startup, that seed money. And if somebody just gives you $20, that's $20 more than you had. So not
True.
discouraging a lot of that stuff. So those were kind of the major things that were helpful when it came to finding funding for
Right.
our for the businesses.
That's awesome. And that's I know a lot of us don't necessarily have that type of support, but that is awesome if you do. And I agree. You should always make sure that you check with family and friends first because they can be your biggest supporters.
There
Um,
are also other different crowdfunding platforms, like that you can use. So I'd say do the research too. There's iFund Women. There's different platforms that you don't have to be a charity or nonprofit if you're just trying to set up. But the key to it is to be specific and
Right.
know what that amount is. Don't just have an arbitrary amount. I need $50,000. Well, what do you need $50,000 for? How much is what
Right.
a dollar amount's going to be set to what? Or you can start off small. I just need $500 in order to set up my website, get my graphic designer, and all of these things. And boom, you would find out a lot of people. If you get $5, $10 here, you're gonna get that money real quick. So don't
Right.
be opposed to that kind of stuff.
Right. So during the pandemic, I know that it affected a lot of businesses. Was your company or your business ever affected by that? And if so, how did you overcome those pitfalls?
So yeah, Shop Creek Collaborate for SCC was we actually launched February of 2020. We had a
Mm,
whole launch party and everything. We were ready to hit the ground running with events for the rest of the year. Boom, March. 20 this was February, and then March 2020 when the whole world shut down. And
mm,
so what we tried to do, because the model of Shop Create Collaborate, the core of it is really to connect people together, right? And find a common ground and common interests and be able to work together, to talk to one another and just really connect. And so we tried to do that as an online forum where you saw, like, at the beginning of 2020, a lot of people were doing a lot of online events, a lot of virtual events where they
mhm.
were networking and stuff. Not really networking, but workshops and things like that. So we attempted it, but we didn't find much success in it for us, especially being so new. A lot of those people found success because they had already established themselves prior to the pandemic. So we really put a pause on everything. We halted it, and then kind of waited to see what the world was going to do. And we relaunched in October of 2022. We were finally at a space where we were like, okay, everything's coming back together. How can we really, people are feeling more comfortable and confident to be around each other. We know that that is going to be the bread and butter of our business. It's actually getting people face to face, but then also let's
Right.
still incorporate some virtual events. So we do have some virtual things that happen for those who may not feel comfortable, or just, in order to keep us connected as well. So that was the main thing that happened, and that in turn that hit us financially because we weren't able to start to really grow our business and get the monies from the events and stuff like that, because that was a whole 2 years of not doing, a year and a half of really not doing anything.
Right.
But we had to regroup and revamp, and then that's why we relaunched. AP Walker Consulting was really bred out of COVID. And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people started to really start and hone in on their business. So I really push that up, and be due to opportunities to be virtual, I'm able to meet with my clients like this. And so that has been actually helpful.
Well, that's awesome. At least, you were able to at least take some things out of that.
Yeah,
Such a, I know, because it really took a toll on a lot of people. So
right.
it was definitely a good thing that at least with your consulting business, you were able to help others get to where they need to be, um,
Yes.
so that they can be successful as well. Um, so how do you create um, time to have a healthy personal life? Because I know sometimes when we are entrepreneurs, it can be busy. And so how do you make time for, having time for you and for your family?
Girl with the personal life. I don't even know. Just kidding. I mean, it's really, I think, and this is something that I would say more recent than prior to. I mean, prior to the pandemic and everything, I was in these streets, girl. I was at every event, every event. My husband was like, "Are you serious right now?" But I think it's really setting boundaries and sticking to them. What I found within these last couple of years was that, the value of, not only just being with family, but the value of my own personal time and taking care of myself, and finding those ways to do that was really just being strict with my schedule, and being, like I said, communicative with my husband. We have a joint family calendar where I put, okay, it's going to be this event, and I can't, and now I know that I can't go to every event. Like, I'm not
Right.
just going to be able, I have to be very strategic about where I go, who I'm going to be around. Does that fall in line with my strategic planning for the year? Does this event, is this going to connect me with the right people that I need to be in the room with in order to, and what would be my goal once I go there?
Right.
So it's being very specific, with what it is that I do, and then setting the boundaries as far as, saying no to certain things or events, and just making sure that I build in the time in a calendar. And sometimes I have to be like, take a break, It's that
Right.
my business partner is really good at time blocking. She does every day, she has a time block set for certain tasks. And then she even put within that, mindless time, or getting my nails done, or just certain things. So being, depends on, we're hyper organized, like, well, I know I'm hyper organized like that. So that helps me for people. But I think the main thing is to know that as an entrepreneur, I know that we feel like sometimes we're going to miss out on opportunities if we don't show up, or if we don't do this, if we say no to certain things. But what's for you is for you, right? There's always going to be an opportunity, the next opportunity, and things like that. So just make sure that you set your boundaries. You're specific and strategic about what time you're spending for all of the things that you have to do, how you're spending time with your family, and all of that. And then really it's prioritizing, what's more important. It is my family and myself in my business. And so I have to remind myself of that, and making sure that I'm walking that talk.
That's awesome. So what would be some advice you would give to future entrepreneurs?
It's ain't for the faint of heart. It is not for it sounds good, you have a great idea, and this works. It's just, you have to be diligent. You have to be willing and able to continuously be a continual learner, because I would
Right.
say that there's always something changing. There's always opportunities somewhere, and know your why. Like, why are you doing something? Are you meeting a need, or are you providing a service? What is it that, and who are you talking to as well?
Mhm.
Your knowing your audience is going to be key. Knowing why you're doing it and who your audience is, that those first two steps of anything. Because you could say, my audience, I think my audience is going to be African American or Black women between the ages of 25 and 32, and they're going to look there and do this and that. When you come to find out, your audience is 37 to 47-year-old white women. Like, you got to
Right.
be open to that kind of change.
Right.
But you got to do the research ahead of time to know who your audience is. And something simple, like Aaron and I did focus group. What is it that, and we invited creative entrepreneurs that we knew, and had somebody else facilitate it. We just took notes and had recording of it, and they told us what they wanted, what they didn't want, so we could think that this would be great. This is a great idea because we know we would love it, but that's only two people,
Right.
just the masses. How is they don't do? So the main thing is, like, do your research, know your why, know your audience, be prepared for those lonely nights, those
Mm.
things that a lot of people can be a siloed journey. Find your community of people or other entrepreneurs who you can bounce ideas off of. What we call them, your quote unquote board of directors. Who are those people that you can talk to about entrepreneurship? Because you can't always talk to your family members about it. You can't
True.
always talk to your best friend, because if they're not going through that same journey, they may not understand why you're complaining about it. It's like, you making
Right.
extra money, or you made the decision to do that, and so you're not going to get the support that you need. So you got to
Right.
put the people in them boxes and find your community of fellow entrepreneurs who can help problem solve with you, who can be encouraging, and who can tell you when you tripping, you know.
Right.
And no, that's not a good idea. Don't try that.
Right.
Don't do that. That's not worth your time. Or, you should invest your time in this rather than that. And there's a lot of
Right.
opportunities for that. So be prepared, and know there are going to be times that you don't want to quit because it's not going the way that you want to go, or at the speed or rate
Right.
that you think it should go, especially with all the work that you've put into it. But
Mhm.
that, at those moments, is what separates successful entrepreneurs from those who just have ideas, right? It's when you get to those moments of wanting to quit, do you keep going? Are you keep putting the same level of effort into it? Or are you just like, F it, I'm done. And it's fine. Some people,
Right.
because it can be, especially if you're really hustling and grinding, and you've invested money, you might be losing money. It really just depends on your
Yeah.
personality. So,
Yeah, it can be discouraging from time to time. I'm not gonna
mm,
lie. I've had many days I'm just like, oh my God, it's not getting as many views or people aren't
right.
really tuning in. But I have to keep reminding myself that, just like I tell people all the time, just like there's several channels on the TV, you're gonna pick one that you want to watch. So at
Right.
some point, somebody's gonna look at it. Somebody's
Somebody's
gonna,
gonna look at it.
yeah, and
And
being completely honest, what also encourages me to keep going is when I get those DMs and people saying, "Oh, I just checked out this business, video that you did. This person shared some advice that really worked for me, or so it just kind of keeps me motivated to keep
yeah,
doing it because like I said, not everything is going to be for everyone.
right.
However, it could help somebody, and that's all that matters to me at this point.
Right. Yes,
So,
continuing to do the work and your reach will get out there. It's just like continuing on. Because I'm gonna say, with SCC, it's been a slow going. We have a few members, but trying to convince people that the product or service that you're offering is worth it is
right,
hard. That is a
right.
hard thing to do. And so, but the thing is the resilience, just keep doing the work and keep being consistent with it really shows people. And in the end, it will come. Patience is key.
Yeah, pretty much. So what are some things that you enjoy doing outside of your business?
Sleep. I'm
I think
laughing, but
that's
I'm
a lot
serious.
of us. Look, I think that's a lot of us, especially us moms. Like we like
A
people
nap.
ask me all the time, like, what do you like to do for fun? Girl, take a nap.
Take a nap. Like
Eat and take a nap.
good food, a strong drink, and an
Right.
uninterrupted nap. I would say that right. That's
Right,
number
right.
one. I would say that's probably on the high list. One, two, and three. But also, I like watching movies. I'm a movies person, and me and my husband are really. I'm into Marvel movies, so I love to do that. But in addition, like I said, sewing. Even though, like, I would say it's more of a hobby rather than an actual job. Sometimes that's another thing. Just real quick, is that when you turn hobbies into a business, sometimes it loses its luster. And that was
It definitely
a lot of
does.
people's like, you could sell these, you could sell these. That's like I could, but I don't think I would enjoy it. It wouldn't be the stress reliever that
Right.
it currently is. And I just didn't want to do that. Now I will sell and make things for people, but it's not on that level of I need to do this as a business. I need to churn out the
Right.
product and stuff like that because I would lose that what it serve its purpose that it's currently serving, which is a stress reliever. It's an outlet for me to be creative and not have the pressures of anything else around
Right.
me. So those
That's kind of like what it is for me with DIY and like stuff like that. Like I thought about
my
doing
stuff.
Look, I thought about doing it as a business at one point. I even created a page for it and everything, and then it just became to a point. It came to a point where people would always want favors, and it was just like, you know what? No, because I'm not about to start this and then I stop liking it because it does, like you said, helps relieve a lot of stress. If I'm like, even when it comes to my 9 to 5, it's like, I could be frustrated with something, and if I could just walk away and start working on something else and then
Hmm.
come back to it, it actually clears my mind to get everything done what I need to get done for my nine
Right.
to five. So
Yeah.
it's always good, like you said, to some things just aren't meant to make money off of.
Right. It's just the purpose is that relief, that outlet, that opportunity, and like giving that stuff as gifts is sometimes a
Right.
reward. It's just like okay, yes, that I like to do that. I mean, I don't want people to be pressuring me. Where's my stuff at? I don't know. I don't feel like doing that. Leave it alone.
Right.
And your and then because then too, like you said, the favors thing. It's just like I want to go back real quick to the advice to give was that your price is your price,
Yeah.
and don't be scared. And a lot of times, I think we get that imposter syndrome. Is this worth it? Is what I'm charging for this worth it?
Mhm.
Like if people are gonna buy it, if people start to buy it, they're gonna buy it. You have to do your research and make sure that your value, your product is properly valued at what you're providing your prices. But don't continuously set out discounts just because people are asking for them. And the
Right.
respect part of it, and demand your people to be like, this is my price, and you don't want to buy it. Okay, well, it's not for you.
Somebody
That's
else.
not your audience, and be okay with that. And people feel like they gotta undercut the market in order to make sales, but in the long run, you're hurting yourself and other entrepreneurs as well if you do
Right.
that. So
Right.
that's just a
Yeah,
quick.
that's kind of even how I talk to my mom, because my mom, she started this baking thing.
Hmm.
Like, I'm like, where was this when I was a kid growing up? 'Cause I could have loved a cake every time it was my birthday, homemade, because Imma tell you, she just spoiled me with baked goods now
Yeah,
because I can't even buy them from the store, and I be like, "Ugh,
totally
this
different.
chocolate don't taste like my mama chocolate," I
Hmm.
can't. But, I tell her all the time, like, "Yeah, you enjoy doing it, but don't allow people to take that from you because they want favors, they want free products, they want."
Yep.
No, that takes your time, energy, your money, because you have to pay for the ingredients, you have to
Yeah.
pay for the stove, all that stuff. So, it's definitely that's great advice, to let people know, like, don't ever undercut yourself simply because it's a friend or a family member.
Hmm.
Your price is your price.
Yeah. And not to say don't do it. I mean, you can if you want to, but don't make it a habit.
Right, right, right,
Mhm.
right. So do you think that you've mastered your craft in each of your businesses, or do you think that there's always room for growth and improvement?
I I don't think I've mastered it. As my point of being a continuous learner, I would say that you need to continue to learn and grow. There's different techniques and methodologies that I can learn when it comes to consulting on businesses and different strategies that entrepreneurs are implementing. How do I learn about that? How do I continue to grow? I learn from my clients too. I learn what things that have worked and not worked for them that I may be able to implement with another client.
Mhm.
We're continuously learning about the needs of small businesses for SEC, the things that they want to see, the workshops that they want to see, the opportunities that they want to have, the value that they're placing on what we're providing. So I no, I'm not an expert. But I know a lot. I would say, I mean, I could say that I can be an expert, but I feel like even experts continuously learn.
Mm.
The billionaires of the world will tell you that they're always reading, right? They're always learning. CEOs of companies are, the most impactful ones, the ones who are really making change, and directors of businesses. They're always going to be a continual learner, right? So I think there is stuff that I will continuously learn, and I will get there and get to a point where I don't know if I'll ever get to a point where I'll be like, "Yep, I know it all." I know it all.
Right. There's always things ever changing, even, with the fact that, just technology in itself, with that, that impacts a lot of businesses. So,
Right.
it's always something to learn.
Yeah, sometimes I
Um,
feel like there's an old lady. I'm like, now what does it do now? This
right.
Instagram, Lord, it's always changing and update coming, and you got to learn how to
I
do
know,
that.
right?
Talk to your customers about how to properly use that and implement it into their business. It's like, sheesh.
Girl, you should have saw me on live. I was trying to, it had been a while since I've been on like TikTok live, and I'm up here trying to press buttons. I'm like, y'all, bear with me for a second. They was about to talk about me because I was like, look, I'm trying to figure this thing out. This
Right.
this app for the young folks for
This is
real,
it for
but
the real folks. It's like, look, I am a geriatric millennial personally, so that means
look, I'm telling you, so it's too funny. So how do you stay motivated?
Ooh, in those times of needs, I think it's just the outlook. We strive. So we do our strategic planning in the beginning of the year. What is it? What is our goal for the year as a whole? And then we break that down into quarterly and then monthly. And then, how do we work towards that? So I think having a goal that you're working towards and having those tangible, um, or actionable items that you could do with date set help me to stay motivated, because I feel like sometimes you can get overwhelmed with stuff and then just not do
Very
it. Like, you know what? I gotta do this and this. What? Never mind. I'll just sit on my couch and I'm gonna just eat this ice cream and I'm not gonna do it. Right. And I
much.
think I've done that before. So my motivation tanks because of all of the stuff that has to be done. But I break those down into smaller bite size things that I can accomplish. When I accomplish it, I feel good. So the next thing okay, I got that done. Yes, I feel good. So I'm staying motivated. And because the work that I'm doing is constantly moving my business forward, that helps to stay motivated. And then also, to your point, when I get, a message from a client saying, "Oh, that was such a great session. I'm so thankful for you." It's just like, I am doing the right thing. I am
Right.
glad that, I am making sense. I'm not just rambling off
Right.
random things. They get me. They understand. When we see people that come to an event, somebody new who's found us on Eventbrite and they come to a SEC event and, they find value in the workshop or whatever that we're providing, that helps us stay motivated. Okay, how can we continue to do this? How can we get more of this? That helps with the motivation, and then just the idea of where I want to be, not the idea, the knowledge of where I want to be. I don't want to work for somebody else for the rest of my life. It's that motivation as well. How do I be able to stand up my business so that I don't have to, like, luckily, thank God I like what I do, but still, I don't want to do it. I want to be able to have the freedom to do what I want to do and live how I want to live. But in order to get there, I have to do the work. So,
Yeah, that's it. That's all we have to do is keep going and try to make sure that I mean, that's good advice as far as like breaking it down to smaller parts so you don't get overwhelmed. Because trust me, I have a long to do list. So I can know I understand how that can be stressful at times. So of course, we are coming towards the end of this interview, but I wanted you to repeat again. I know we said at the top of the show, but how people can find you. We'll also leave all the websites and handles in the description of this video. So you guys, please check her out. She is awesome. She's
oh,
doing great things,
thank
and I can't
you.
wait to come to the collab events because I know like we've been having baseball season going,
Girl,
so it's kind of like all over the place, and so
these
it would
kids
be
take that is a struggle. That is a
yeah.
obstacle, is
So
the
I can't
kids'
wait. I can't
schedule.
wait. But yeah, let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, so AP Walker Consulting, it's A.P. Walker Consulting, one word, on Instagram. And then my uh, website is AP Walker Consulting, all one word.com. And then Shop Create Collaborate, and it's shop.create.collaborate at Instagram, and then Shop Create Collaborate, all one word.com. You can find us there in our events. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter, and you can find out more information about the upcoming events that we have.
That's awesome. Do you have any last encouraging words for our new entrepreneurs coming up?
Just stick with it. Be sure to know your why, continue to learn, and try to stay motivated in those times where you feel like you just want to throw in the towel, and utilize things like this platform. I mean, Peaches, what you're doing right now is really helpful, and it's impactful for people to be able to see other people like themselves who may not be, because a lot of times we see it's like a target that we're striving to get to,
Right.
to
And
see
you see
these
the
big,
finish.
yeah, we see these big entrepreneurs who are, making millions of dollars, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're like, I can't, how do I relate? What's in between? Who's in between?
Right.
And what are
Right.
those struggles are in between? And so having platforms like this that highlight that stuff with people, or highlight those things with people, real people, like I like to say, who are going through it and walking the walk right now, makes it that connection easier. So I would say applause to you for providing this
Thanks.
platform, and I appreciate you having me. And I would just say connect with, as a entrepreneur, whether you're new or you're growing or anything like that, connect with like-minded people, because they will help with the motivation as well. So I didn't say that, but I would say my community, my board of directors help me to stay motivated. So when I get down on myself, or when I like I can't see a path forward, that community of people, like-minded individuals, whether they're in your industry or not, are going to help you get through those dark times. And so make sure that you do that, and valuable, meaningful relationships. And it's not going to be a whole bunch of people. You keep it small and tight,
Yeah.
but make sure that that you're providing the same spur. It's
Right.
mutually beneficial.
Right. That is awesome. Well, I thank you so much for allowing me to interview you today. And as always, thank you guys in the audience for commenting and interacting and viewing the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
so when you have an opportunity, guys, please make sure you check her out. And always, you guys stay sweet.